Evidence for Climate Change Ice Cores by KayScience.com. Here is a simple diagram of Earth, and at the top of Earth we have the North Pole. At the bottom of Earth there is a continent called Antarctica, which is very cold and there is a lot of snow and ice. In this video, I'm going to explain how the ice in Antarctica can be used as supporting evidence for carbon dioxide causing climate change. Now, this line represents the ground in Antarctica, and these represent clouds. And because it is very cold in Antarctica, it snows on a regular basis. And it's essentially been snowing in Antarctica on a regular basis for over the last million years plus. And of course, this snow builds up on the ground, represented by this squiggly blue line. And as we already know, the atmosphere contains gases such as carbon dioxide, water vapor, oxygen, nitrogen, and methane. So what happens is the air gets trapped in the snow, and as the snow falls and builds up on the ground, whatever the gases in the air was at the time, that air is now trapped in that layer of snow. Naturally, the composition of Earth's atmosphere has always changed throughout time, and I'm representing that here by adding more gases. These gases get trapped in the snow, and the snow builds up on the ground. Over thousands of years, it continues to snow, and the snow and ice builds up on the ground. Over time, the atmosphere continues to change as well, causing different compositions of gas to be trapped in the snow. Layers of snow and ice build up over thousands of years, and the oldest ice goes back 800,000 years, found in Antarctica. So what happens is scientists come along with their equipment and they drill an ice core. They then take this ice core back to the laboratory where they measure the composition of the trapped air at different layers. It's question time. Attempt these questions to check your understanding. So, in the laboratory, the scientists now have their ice core, and this is what an ice core looks like. In an ice core, the youngest ice is at the top and the oldest ice is at the bottom. So, the ice gets older going down the ice core. And this ice represents thousands of years worth of snow having settled in Antarctica. So the scientists then analyze the gases within the ice. And for example, they can find out that in this section of the ice core, there is a low concentration of CO2. And as they then measure the composition of gases in this section of the ice, they may find there's a lower concentration of CO2. And then in this section of the ice, they may find there's a higher concentration of CO2. And it's quite incredible that scientists always find that in the youngest section of the ice core, there have been the highest levels of CO2 in the last 440,000 years. They always find this in any ice core around the world. It's question time. Attempt these questions to check your understanding. Scientists can then plot the data on a graph where there is age in thousands of years on the x-axis, and on the left y-axis we have CO2 concentration, and on the right y-axis there is temperature change in degrees Celsius. On the graph, the red line is the difference in temperature from today, and the blue line is the concentration of CO2 in the atmosphere. The concentration of CO2 has continuously increased and decreased over the last 200,000 years, and it is now at its highest it has been in the last 440,000 years. Temperature changes are also closely correlated with carbon dioxide changes over the last 200,000 years. This section of the graph shows how there is more CO2 trapped in the ice in the last 200 years compared to any point over the last 440,000 years. So, although we can see average global temperatures and CO2 levels are correlated, scientists believe in the last 200 to 300 years, global temperature rises have been caused by an increase in carbon dioxide levels. It's question time. Attempt these questions to check your understanding.